hoi no mihi ana kia koutou, ko whakai mai ki te tuku I o koutou kōrero ki tēnei kaupapa I tēnei pō. Ai aha, hei kīnaki I te taima I te wātonu o Matariki. So, first of all, we would like you all to introduce yourselves, tell us where you're based and who you're working for, and we'll start with Toni. Kia ora.
A tēnā koutou katoa. Tuatahi rā, he mihi tēnei ki a koe, Adrian, mo tō tūwhera, whakatūwhera mo tō tātou hui. Huri noa ki a koutou, I ngā manu te ori ori, ngā manu whakatangitangi, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. I te taha o tōku kōka no Ngati Kahungunu me rong whakātanga iwi, I te taha o tōku pāpā no Witana, Repana, Haina, Airene ngā whenua o ōku tīpuna. Ko te kai hautu Puoro Māori o Toiteara Puoru Sounds Centre for New Zealand Music. Ko Toni Huata tōku ingoa, no reira tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Kia ora, kia koe naini Ria.
Hei papaki tuana ngā tai ki mauao I whakanukunuku hia, I whakanekeneke hia, I whiwareretia e hotu a wahine rua ki te wai, ki tai wiwi, ki tai wawa, ki te whaiao, ki te aomaramati. Hei mauri ora ki a tātou katoa e pai nei, ka tautoko ahau I ngā kōrero kua kōrero hia, e Toni, o tira kia koe anu hoki e muki nau I whakatūwhera tēnei wānanga o tātou, tēnā koe o tira tēnā hoki kūtau. Ko rea hola hau, he uri ahau no tauranga moana, kei konei hoki ahau e noho ana, I āhua moho ao ana, but we've moved to level 1 now, so that's a wonderful thing to be able to get out and about. Hopefully not too many more zoos and more hui a kanohi nei. I work for myself. I'm a self-employed artist first and foremost. I'm also currently contracted to the Tauranga Arts Festival as festival director. But my first pōtai always is my own artistry and taking messages out to the world through music and through any other creative medium I can kind of get my hands on. And it's wonderful to be a part of such a wicked kāhui I tēnei pō. Nā reira, mihi ana kia koutou, kia tātou katoa.
Kia ora, Kirsten. Hoi anō. Kia koe, Jerome?
Ai, nā mihi a kia aroha kia koutou katoa I aku whanaunga I ngā rangatira o te puoro o Aotearoa, kei te mihi. No mō kai pātea, I raro I te pai maunga o Ruahine, o Aorangi Topu, ki te tautoku kui, ko Ngati Kahungunu. Teira, tūwhare tōhoki, I te tautoku kraua, no Maniapoto, matakore te hapu, raukau hoki. Kei te mihi. Thanks for having me on, and good to be a part of this whānau. Good to see some faces after quite a long time. And I'm in Otaki at the moment, and I work for myself also. Yeah, of course, my specialty is the taonga pūoro and just sharing those as much as possible where I can and when I can. So yeah, ngā mihi.
Oh, kia ora kia koe, Jerome, and Vanessa. You're on mute. Sorry. There we go.
Kia ora whānau. Kia ora Vanessa Stacey. Mehana ahau. I'm my whānau Ngati Kuia, and we at the moment I'm based in Wellington, and I'm an artist, a multimedia artist, a filmmaker, and a musician, and a writer, and an actor. Bits and bobs, as my dad calls it. Who may interrupt us at some stage because Koro's staying. And yeah, kia ora. So lovely to be here. Lovely to see you all.
Kia ora, Vanessa, and Kirsten.
Kia ora whānau. Sorry, I'm just still getting myself all organised, but can you hear me?
Yes.
Can hear you, darling.
Awesome. Okay. Ko maunga, a kahia te maunga, ko whangawihi te awa, ko kurahopo te waka, rungo mai wahine te iwi, ko tuahuru te marae. Ko kahurana ki te maunga, ko ngaruroro te awa, ko takitimu te waka, ko ngati kahungunu te iwi, and ko ongahu te marae, ko Kirsten Te Rito aho. My name's Kirsten. I'm from Wellington. I'm a singer, songwriter, and I've been getting more into sort of music production and stuff over the past couple of years. So that's where I've really been sort of concentrating my time. What else? I sing in a few different bands, and yeah, just love all forms of music and artistry, and yeah, solo artist as well. So yeah, choice. Awesome to be here.
Kia ora. Good to have you on this kaupapa as well, Kirsten. Now, our first question is to everyone, and we'll stay with you, Kirsten.
Mm-hmm.
It's, how did the lockdown affect you?
Okay, so my husband and I, James, he's a pianist. We were supposed to be going to Greece for a month. We were supposed to be, he had a gig there in Athens, and so we were supposed to be going over. He was going to do the gig, and then we were going to go on a month-long trip around the islands, and it was going to be amazing, and we're going to do some writing and stuff. We were both very excited. But then the lockdown happened, and while we were gutted, we also thought, oh, you know what, it's the best thing to stay here. So before lockdown 3 came in, we'd already made plans to go up to Mahia. I was really blessed to be able to borrow my auntie's batch. So we went up and stayed there. And then lockdown 4 happened, so we had to stay even longer, which was not a bummer at all. And luckily we had all of our studio gear with us. So we set that up inside the little batch, and then we've just only got home really a week ago. So we spent maybe 10 weeks there just writing, and we did this really cool thing. This was my most favorite thing, is that we would go down to the beach for a walk most days, and then we'd take our phones and we'd just record sounds, like nature sounds and beach sounds, just anything that was around us. And so we ended up bringing them back to our studio, sampling the sounds, and then we'd put them into our XS24, which is like a little sampling machine inside of Logic. And then we could make like whole sort of synth instruments out of the noises that we'd made. So yeah, we kind of took that time just to look for alternative ways to be creative, and it was one of them. But yeah, I know it was hard. We really missed our whānau, but we tried to really use that time to be creative, and yeah, so that was our time.
Oh, awesome. Sounds awesome.
It actually was. We're really blessed.
Ria, we'll go to you. How's the lockdown affected you?
Wow. Lockdown was a gift and a curse in many ways, shapes and forms. I suppose, well, to start with, I had been travelling quite extensively in my new role. So I'd been away for about a month. I'd been in Adelaide attending the Adelaide Arts Festival and a few other kaupapa in Adelaide. Then I came back and went straight into into PANZ, Performing Arts Network of New Zealand, kaupapa for a week. And then that weekend I headed to WOMAD, so I was in Taranaki for an extended period of time. And then I actually got quite sick, myself and my son, when we got back from Taranaki. And obviously at that point in time, there was lots of kōrero about this thing called the coronavirus going around. So we went into isolation a week before lockdown. I had a COVID-19 test. Thankfully, it was just influenza. So yeah, we went into lockdown a week before everyone else. And probably in about week 5 or week 4 to everyone else, I really hit the wall. I hit the wall creatively. I hit the wall emotionally. Spiritually, I hit the wall. And I was actually quite vocal about it on my Facebook page about how the impact of tō tātou ao moho ao, and how that was having a profound effect on my wairuatanga, my whānau. But then, come in, aroha mai, kei kone takutane. So week 4 week 5 I wasn't feeling it at all. But then the other side kind of kicked in, and I realised that the beauty of the lockdown was being able to reconnect with our taiao, was being able to listen to our environment clearly, like crystal, pristine. All the walks that we went on with our boy, all we could see, like, because we're obviously right by the moana, just crystal, pristine water. Matakana Island having a profound rest. Te Awanui Moana having a big rest. Mauao Maunga, no traffic, no one on our maunga. His Māori got time to settle. So when I reflect on those kinds of winnings and those kinds of situations, I feel like it was the time for our world to just hunker down, because we've taken and taken and taken for how many years, and now this was an opportunity for us collectively to give back. And in giving back, that meant silence and nothing. And I really love that. I also love seeing all the whānau out and about, walking, activating, doing things, with their tamariki that they probably wouldn't have gotten a chance to connect with their babies and all their children at that level. So, after I kind of got over my own emotional self, I found myself in a state of, it was semi-euphoric, to be honest. So I really went up and went down, like, quite dramatically. And then when we went to level 2, I was like, I don't want to go out of the house. I'm not ready for level 2. I'm not ready to start communicating and being around people. So it's been quite a journey. But amongst all that, I've managed to stay creative. I am about to get into the production of a podcast. So I'm trying to, you've got to pivot your businesses when you're in a state of lockdown, especially when your income derives mainly from live performance. So, I just had to think about other ways to stay creative, stay relevant, stay in the conversation. Is that enough?
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. How are you feeling now, Ria?
Yeah,
ready to go?
That's a very good question. I still don't like the idea of level 1. I didn't like the idea of level 2. I've obviously set up camp in our tari, Mawako Takitane. Set up camp out in our tari. Our boys good, our whānau are good. I'm still quite anxious about people being too close. I always find myself looking at them if I find them within a metre, and I'm looking around and I'm trying to give them the come on, whānau, click, click, click. Kind of just move back a bit. But I think it's going to take a little while to get used to be honest. Going to a level 1. I don't like normal. I think the normal was the problem. So hopefully this enables us to act and communicate and broker different styles of relationships as we move forward.
Kia ora for that. And Vanessa, how has the lockdown affected you?
Hi. I had a very bizarre, as we all did, I think everyone's experience was totally different. I was already in the middle of a medical drama. So, Koro, who's with me at the moment, my father I was in the middle of doing Brett McKenzie's show, and of course we missed out on doing the last few bits of the show because we were lucky at least the show got up and running. But then the last week of the festival was pulled down, so we missed out on a few shows. But 3 days before we opened, my father had a heart attack.
Oh.
So I was in the middle of, in Auckland. So I was in Wellington. I flew up. I rushed up that weekend. So I'd flown as well, which was, in hindsight became stressful. And then came back. They were like, Dad was like, go back and be awesome. It's like, why did you waste money coming up and seeing me? Get home, because he was going to come down and see the show the next weekend. By the next weekend, when we closed, of course we had to close because of the situation. And then we got 24 hours notice that Dad was having a triple bypass. So I literally drove up. We closed the show. Next morning, packed my bag, drove all the way to Auckland, waiting while Dad was having heart surgery. Just like, got to Auckland and all good. And then Dad, but that was a week before lockdown. So I was in Auckland with my whānau, and I was with my brother and my nephews and my sister-in-law, and and Dad lives with my brother. So, but so it was intense. And Dad also works at the Maunga. He works at the education system up there, teaches carving. I think he's at my door. Kia ora, Dad. I'll right
You
on.
better come in, Dad.
Kia ora. Oh, he's got it. He's
So we
like,
know that you're all right.
He's in good form. So I was in lockdown with the whole whānau, and which was intense. So I was at a time, I hear you, Rhea, because I was sharing a bedroom with my 2 little nephews who I love and adore, and their 5-month-old puppy. So I was like, can I please have a little bit more solitude in my isolation? A little bit more isolation. But there was no question. I wasn't going anywhere because I just wanted. But it was very stressful because the boys, my brother lives in Mangere Bridge and my father works and has, Dad bless him, has built a community garden. So, and he's feeding 50 whānau in need. He's amazing. He's awesome. And that's what he was doing when he fell down. So he was stressing about that because we knew people really needed the kai that he, so there was a lot of, we were in the middle of that, trying to have Dad in a bubble, in our whānau bubble. So it was highly stressful. I've got to be honest, So I was the other way, Rhea. I was like, at the beginning of lockdown and just slowly, as we all because the boys, there'd been a case closely related to my eldest nephew's school. So we were just holding our breath when we had Dad back, and koro they didn't say, and the boys couldn't be near him, and they just adore koro, so it was like, so, and then I came, and also in that time I've been working, one of the kaupapa that I'm working on is working with women who are inside Arihata prison, and working with music theory and therapy with them, or arts therapy really. So we had just started, making some really beautiful work too, and just feeling how isolated they already feel, and then all that kaupapa being taken away from them, impossible to work. Zoom's just not an option, So I just had my first day back with the ladies today, which was really awesome. But also, because my father's now staying with me, and I was just like, they're probably the safest people in New Zealand. I was like, that's been good. I was like, I don't feel too bad. But I knew there was no way that these wahine were not going to, give us big hugs. We haven't seen them in 4 months. So, yeah. So it's been intense. It's been intense, and quite different. And Dad's just walked past and turned my light out.
The main thing is Dad is all right, eh?
Oh, absolutely. And he's amazing. But it's been intense. It's been an intense time. But I think for all of us, for everybody.
Oh, kia ora, Vanessa. Jerome.
Yeah.
Pehea ki a koe te lockdown.
Oh, kia ora, Kaz. Kia ora whānau. Thanks for those awesome stories. Yeah, my lockdown, I was actually in Panama at the time at an Indigenous festival. Called the Tribal Gathering, which was, it was awesome festival. And then I sort of left about halfway, and then went to the States and had a big tour lined up there. Had about 20 shows there, which was really cool, and I was really excited about that. It was my first kind of big tour of the States, which was cool. And then I was in LA at the time, and then it sort of started to come in quite thick and fast. This was sort of pre-lockdown, actually. Just all the news of this COVID and what was happening. And then a friend of mine who was kind of in the know said, got in touch and said, you should go home because they're going to lock up the whole of America pretty soon, like in the next 2 days. And so I got on the plane the next day, and what did I do? I went to Hawaii for just a little bit there, And I was sort of, I wasn't too sure if I was going to get back into Aotearoa because there wasn't really much information out there, and it was sort of getting a bit panicky. And so then I got my flight home and jumped on the plane with all the brothers from Ketchafaiware. Jumping on the plane was pretty much just us, and that was the last flight home from America. So, yeah, just got home. Yeah, so I was home straight into self-isolation. And then I think for about 10 days I was, and then we went into the official lockdown. So I'd already sort of had a taste of the the isolation. I was actually wanting to come home back to Mokai Pate, to Taihope, to all the whānau back there, and I sort of rung ahead, and then I got the call back to say, oh, the whānau have had a bit of a hui and we've decided you should stay in Tamaki. And, I was a little bit not heartbroken, but I was expecting to be returning home to the maunga and all that, and the awa and all our whānau, and then rightfully so, they were like, oh, no, you got to stay up there. We don't want you to be bringing any diseases back like the missionaries. Yeah, and so yeah, they want me to be famous for that. So I stayed up in Tamaki, and to be honest, I was quite lonely. I don't really know that much people up there, and but I was lucky. My cousin had a place right on the beachfront there in Point Chev, so I went there. He was away in London, so I had that place for about 10 days. And during that time, the Sounds whānau, Toni and them got in touch and said, do you want to do this project around taonga pūro and sharing, just an introductory sort of video series. So that, because I'd lost quite a bit of pūtea from my tour in the States and was kind of banking on that and come home. But I don't know, I sort of wasn't freaking out too much. I was just sort of putting my trust in the tupuna and, that everything was as it was meant to be. So yeah, and that popped up, so that was good because I could focus on something, kaupapa driven and sort of help me in my financial recovery. And yeah, so I had a nice spot there to do the video series. And then another cousin, this is on my Pākehā side, on my Irish side, another cousin was coming back from the States as well. So then we had to swap whare because she had nowhere to go to. So and so I got the boot out of the beach pad, and then I went up to another friend's whare who was out. She had gone to stay with her partner, and she had a tiny house up in the Waitakere Ranges. So I went off the grid, and yeah, composting toilet and solar panels, and that was really beautiful. Yeah, so I was up in the Waitakere, and because I was a little bit, I wouldn't say ignorant, but I just wasn't looking at a lot of the news about the rules of what we had to do. So I was straight in the bush. Like every day, I would just have my kai in the morning and head out into the ngahere and just like get lost in there, which was awesome because I think for me, the lockdown was like about reflecting on how busy I was in a crazy way, like just traveling and mahi and, just like it's too much. Like I don't know what I was bloody up to, really just, just on the hustle. But yeah, so I really kind of enjoyed having a rest and all the time I'm overseas, away from home, I'm always thinking about the bush at home, sitting by the awa, just all those real simple things in the pūtaiao, and slowing down. And so I got to do that, and I just ended up walking 6-8 hours in the bush every day. It wasn't like a fast walk, just walking really slow actually, and listening to all the rākau and the manu, and every now and then I'd see the odd human, and I think that was quite funny because I saw a lot of fearful people, like I don't know if it was because of it's me or if it's like the COVID Yeah, so and then so I had a bit of a funny one because I didn't have a solid house to go to, you know, because at the time our whānau, we were living based in Perth, and then we were having a few things happening, and then we all got separated apart, and then I come back and I was stuck in Auckland, and I'm not too sure if this should go on the official video, but I had to leave the tiny house again, and come back down to Porirua, come down and see my mate. So I had to run the gauntlet. I got up pretty early one morning, had my karakia, asked for my invisibility cloak, and then drove from Tāmaki straight down Taumaranui, past Songarui where my koro's from, and down to Porirua, which was pretty. That was probably the most nerve-wracking part. I didn't want to get pulled over. I heard about all these $4,000 fines, and but you know, I actually literally didn't have a home, and when I was in Tāmaki, so I was like, yeah. So that was the most kind of like you know, challenging part for me, was coming down and then caught up with the whānau, and then we had to organise renting a whare, you know, so we were lucky to get one in Otaki just last week. So it's been full on, man. It's been a real adventure. But
I'm glad you made it back home anyway, Jerome.
Thank you, cousin.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Me too.
Yeah, so no, good to see you back home. And so Toni, just tell our viewers and listeners what you did and how did the lockdown affect you?
I just agree with what everyone said, in that it was nice to get reconnected. It was nice to quieten down. It was nice for our environment to have a bit of a break from everything. It was a great reconnection for our little whānau, just knowing that my tamariki were here with me, trying to do kura online, in the other rooms of the whare, and but they weren't far away, and I knew that they were safe. And of course, you, Adrian, you were an essential worker, so you were out there every day, sort of extending our bubble. And but that was, I actually liked it. I really liked it. I really liked just the whole quiet nature of everything. We're lucky where we live in Ōtari Kaka, in that we're sort of surrounded by the bush where our whare is, and yet we're not too far from the city. So sounds, we're not an events organisation, we're more administrational charitable trust, and we were able to all continue. So we just Zoom hui'd every day at 10 a.m. Everyone got really good with their pepeha, which was awesome for my Māori language plan. And it was actually, in a way, more connecting than when we are in person at work, because we only have the one staff hui a week. So meeting every single day and making everyone abreast to what we were up to individually and then as a team was just a really good exercise. And so throughout basically the 3 months, pretty much, we worked that way. And it was our first day back in the office today. And then outside of that, just supporting different sort of committees and communities that I'm involved with, Toi Māori Aotearoa and Puatatangi Music Committee, and Takirua Productions, because, you know, I sort of hold a board role on those various rōpū, and then supporting our kahungunu back home as a performer in the Share the Light, which is going to be on Friday. And one of the proud moments was to broker the change of our kaitito kaipūro wānanga, which we were having at Sounds, and Jerome was going to come and present Oro Atua, but to broker and change that relationship so that we could still release something online and have the masses be a part of that kaupapa, which was really awesome, Jerome. Thank you so much. It was an awesome kaupapa to support, and everyone's just really happy with it. and we sort of round up that kaupapa because it was released over about 2 months, a 2-month period, May and June. Or actually it started in April. Yeah, so we round that one up on the 17th of June with the questions and answers with Jerome and his wonderful kōrero. So yeah, that's what it was for me. You know, we've got big whānau things happening too, and hauora stuff going on, and you know, all of those things, and everyone does. And so outside of those things, it was a restful time.
Kia ora. Our next question, and we'll stay with you, Toni. What are you working on at the moment?
Well, at the moment, I'm moving towards another kaitito kaipōro wānanga a tinana, and this is in terms of mahi. And I also have to say it's been fortunate to be a part of Sounds and to, I guess, continue to have an income. If this was me prior to Sounds and being working for myself, which I always had for 20 odd years, I'd be thinking very creatively, like we all did, about, you know, how to, you know, like you say, Rhea, to be relevant, and what can I do creatively to bring in some pūtea and all of those things, but add to the bigger picture of kaupapa and Māori music. So I'm always thinking strategically that way in my role, but just like, you know, as an artist, it doesn't matter. I'm always thinking that way as to how we can develop our art form, and all art forms under the umbrella of Māori music. And I have a passion for it, and so I'm thinking about ways in which we can support that kaupapa and be involved in many levels.
Kia ora. We'll go to you, Vanessa. What you working on at the moment?
Kia ora. I'm working on a few things, much like everybody here was massively affected during the lockdown, just in regards to all my gigs. Just, it's weird watching, like, and you know, gigs in September, because people were panicking, events, so, you know, like just watching your whole year evaporate in front of your eyes is the weirdest, you know.
We might come back now.
yeah, exactly.
Now we're level 1.
I don't mind. And like gigs that I feel like I've spent 20 years trying to, you know, I had just had this amazing kaupapa with Brett's new show, which was awesome, which we sort of did all the mahi for, and just sort of like show, you know, we had it quick, and it was like, and we're out. And then, but hopefully that mahi's still working, so we're still developing that show. And in May, I was singing with the Auckland Philharmonic, which are doing an Aretha Franklin with Bella Kololo and Bo, and that was really exciting. That sort of disappeared, but I think that we're going to do that in August. But most importantly is the mahi that I've been working on for the last 18 months with these beautiful wahine out at Harata, and we just got back there today. So we, over the last year, and it's hard mahi in the sense that there's a lot of stuff for us to unpack as artists with these women, and there's a lot of so as you can imagine, with everything that's happened over the last week as well, we walked in, there was a lot of stuff to unpack today because we haven't seen them. So COVID aside, but everything that's happened in the last week with Black Lives Matter and just all the injustices that are happening, and they're right in it. So it's, you know, and they all have their own stories as well. So what we're working on over the kaupapa that we're working on this next 2 months is we've had all this beautiful work, some beautiful songs that have developed with a few of the wahine, beautiful writings. Some of them are fantastic poets and storytellers. They've all got amazing stories to tell. So my job as the director of that is we're making 3 episodes that will be not only all the artists, because there's a beautiful collective of artists who are working with the wahine, not just myself. So Jackie Moten and myself and Pika who's going to be DOPing, we're going to make 3 episodes really just honouring the woman's mahi, and it's a hard, so it's also going to be a resource, and it's really important for us. What we've learned with the women, working with the women the last 18 months, is how little resources they have when they come out. So we're working on both. We're working with the women who are still inside and women who have just been released. So they're in the community. And so it's an arts program. It's restorative arts, really. So it's arts therapy. So, and just letting them have a voice. We're talking about a marginalized, minimized group of people who just have, there was this incredible experience after we put the show together for the women in December, to have some of the women say, I felt like a human being for 3 hours. Highlight of my life, to have that opportunity to do that for them, or to let them have that opportunity. So it's been really hard the last few months, because you just feel like you're just trying to hold the mahi for them, but it was great. So everything that we had feared that we would have to start working at again, that all has dissipated after today, having seen the women again. But there's a lot of conversation, I think, which we'll probably discuss shortly. A lot of conversation happened today, because a lot of stuff has happened.
Oh, awesome, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Sounds like awesome work. And having worked in Arohata before myself, and loving working with the women in there. Toni and I both worked in there, and we loved it.
Yeah.
But Ria, we'll go to you next, Ria. So what have you got on at the moment?
Well, I'm trying to juggle and balance life. So, our son, he recently turned 1 at the end of April, the last day of lockdown. Last day of lockdown. Typical. He turned 1, and the kohanga reo aren't allowed to go to kohanga unless the kids are at level 1. And so he and us, the whānau, have been waiting very, very patiently for it to get to level 1. So now that we're there, we're kind of just thinking about transitioning him into kohanga reo. He's going to the first kohanga reo of Tauranga Moana, which is the kohanga reo that I went to. So trying to get some intergenerational transmission of hapu knowledge happening up in here.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's really cool. He'll be on our marae, so it's that's a cool thing. So we've been focusing on that. Work-wise, I'm kind of in the trenches at the moment with the Tauranga Arts Festival, just thinking about other ways to deliver community work, keeping things really local, looking to broker some new relationships now that we're more, we're more localised. We're keeping a focus here in Tauranga Moana and around the Bay. And then when we look to next year, to the Tauranga Arts Festival next year, keeping things really about our people, so about New Zealand work, and really creating economy for New Zealand artists to tour, and for it to be a thriving, flourishing and sustainable industry across the board. So not just music, obviously that's where I have my most experiences, but we think I have to now think across the board, which is an awesome opportunity that I've been really, really grateful to step into. And I'm still learning, only been there a couple of months. I'm going to be changing a few things as I go along, but you guys will hear that in the process. But anyway, that's where I've been in the trenches with the Tauranga Arts Festival. And for myself, I have been, I'm currently collaborating with, as a part of the Tūhonohono program out of Te Māngai Pāho, Anna Coddington and I are collaborating together to write a Waiata Māori, remotely. Well, we can come together now, so that's an option too. But also in March, I just released another album, Manawa Wera, So I'm looking at ways that I can, because I didn't get an opportunity to tour it because of what had gone down. So just thinking about, other ways to present work. I think we've kind of been forced into not forced, we've been gently coerced into a position where we can start looking at interesting ways of presenting our mahi.
Yeah.
We're not siloed anymore to the traditional confines and conformity that we've been exposed to, and that the only thing that we've known over the years. So how else can we reinvigorate our people to engage with our mahi? And I'm not just talking about from a musical perspective. I mean, that's across the whole artistic spectrum. So it's been really awesome being able to be involved and listen to like the PANS and Auckland Live conversations that have come out, every Monday. Hearing the thinking that's coming out of our people in the arts industry, just seeing what everyone's been doing online, like as simple as just putting a phone in front of them and singing a song, like the most simple kind of forum that you can ask for, but it's worked and people have really gravitated towards that. So I think lots of thinking about how to be creative, also creative financially too. We're in, like the brother Jerome was saying, it's a trying time for self-employed artists. Can't lie about that. We've got to be creative, in our own artistic streams, but also creative with how we think financially too. So, artists, man, we are the hustlers of the hustle. You've got to be a kind of person to be an artist. You've got to have some thick skin. You've got to have some, I've got to do the mahi. You got to get your hands and feet dirty. So, I just want to take this opportunity just to mihi to this kahui, to all of our artists across the board, all the ones that make a living from pleasing and pleasing other people in servitude. Because that's what we do. We're not about our own mahi. It's about the servitude of the community and the people. So, mihi ana kia koutou kia tātou katoa.
Oh, kia ora mo tēnā. And where can we get your new album, Te Mana Waiata?
Yes, can you buy physical copies these days?
Well, you can download it from where?
Yes, you can. You can go into Spotify, the Bandcamp.
Bandcamp, ka pai. Well, kia ora mo tēnā, Ria. So we'll go to you, Kirsten. What you up to now? What you got on now?
What am I up to now? Well, all the work that I was supposed to be doing was all cancelled. I had a couple of tours booked, and that was going to kind of take me through to around September. But now they're non-existent. So, just like everybody else, I've had to sort of readjust what I was going to be doing. And I already had a couple of projects on the back burner that I wanted to do anyway, and I was going to have to try and fit them in and around the tours that I was going on. But now that they're not on, I get the chance to really hone in on my own stuff, which is way more exciting. There's way less money, but you make it up in other ways. And I just applied for some CNZ funding, so fingers crossed I get it, and that will be really helpful. Fingers crossed. But even if I don't get it, I'm still going to move ahead with my projects because I really believe in it. That one that I'm talking about is an electronic music project that my husband and I, James, have been working on. It's like a little duo that we've got together. And I think because we were away in lockdown in Mahia, and, part of that project we had planned to use the people that we normally work with, we'd have Darren Mathiasen on drums, Johnny Lawrence on bass, or, picking from our amazing group of musicians that we work with. But they weren't there, and we're like, oh, what are we going to do? What if we can't get back together with them anytime soon, or it might be 3 months, or it might be 6 months, We just kind of had no idea what was going to be happening in the future and how it was going to pan out. So that's why we tried to think creatively about other ways that we could produce those sounds. I mean, we've got a library of samples and stuff we could use, but we thought, how can we combine, this lockdown and be creatively using what's around us and what we have with us. So that's why we went down to the beach and went for long walks every day and spent, you know, countless hours recording Toi Toi, and I did some tap dancing on the sand, and that sounded like a shaker. Like, it was, honestly, it was so amazing.
Wow.
We recorded waves and then put them in our computer and put some compression on and EQing. And then all of a sudden it sounded like white noise, and then a pumper on it, and it sounds like, you know, combining that with the synths that we had on hand. So that was, yeah, so that's the kind of the beginning of the project. We're still sort of writing. I already had
so you're sort of creating, Kirsten.
Yeah.
You're in the creation mode.
Yeah, so we're in creation mode. So there's that project that we're working on. I've also been doing some, just laying down some vocal tracks for a band that I'm part of in Australia, a hip hop crew called Bliss and Eso. So I've been doing some stuff for them, just demoing out a few tracks. So there's that. What else have I been doing? Oh yeah, and I just released a 5-track EP as well over lockdown on the 1st of May. So,
when can you get that one?
Spotify, Bandcamp. Yeah, just any, like, most online streaming platforms, and then through if you wanted to buy a download, because I don't have physical copies either.
No one does, I don't think.
Nah, well, you know, there's also the waste of, like, I don't really want to print compact discs because I do think it's wasteful, and, you know, they come and they go. So I don't know. And maybe I'll do a small run in the future. Oh, vinyl would be amazing. And I see we can do that in New Zealand now then. I mean, and that's plastic too, I know. So I don't know. I'd have to think about it. But I guess vinyl has a bit more longevity. So yeah.
Kia ora.
But yeah, those are my things I'm doing.
Awesome, Kirsten. Jerome, what's your project? What's your current? What you're up to at the moment?
Oh yeah, what, you know, as Toni mentioned, I'm finishing off the mahi with the Sounds whānau, which has been, that's just really, really awesome. Like, just really grateful for that mahi. So coming up to the end of that, which is cool, and we've got a bit of a Q&A. And I'm sort of I've had an online puoro wānanga since November last year, so it's kind of quite lucky because I was already doing some mahi online previous to us being kind of like forced online. But yeah, so we got nearly 120 now of different whānau out there around the motu, and as far as the UK and the States as well, all whānau Māori and some non-Māori as well, but they're all in there making puoro with their whānau, with their tamariki, learning about different, you know, whakapopa and pūrākau, and just sharing sort of all the stuff that I've learned along the way over the years. So that keeps me pretty busy. I make 4 or 5 videos a week for that group, and I'm just actually trying to keep up with that amongst being with the whānau, and we take our daughter starts kura tomorrow, and yeah, we've been setting up house and all that. And what else? I've got some projects overseas at the moment doing music for sort of yoga people. One in Canada. So I'm just finishing up that, and that's sort of like a 10-track guided meditation album with First Nations lady from over there, which is really cool. And another one coming up starting next week with an Indian company who are doing an app called Ultra Human. And yeah, so just plodding away. I'm sort of, now that we're at level 1, I'm quite keen to return, if I can, to tour around again the kura and stuff, because it's quite important. I like doing that, working with the tamariki. Yeah, lots of things coming through, but just sort of like trying to take it a day at a time, really, and you know, still mahi, and just like all the whānau have expressed, just keep that balance between whānau and mahi, and you know, because I can get quite obsessed with my mahi and sort of forget about everything else.
I think that's a common trait amongst artists. They get obsessed. which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, that's right. And
Most of the time.
Yeah, until it gets out of balance, you know. So just try and maintain that balance, really, and I'm just really settling, being back at home because I wasn't expecting to be at home. So, and I'm loving it, you know. It's just going down to the oa every day, or down to the beach, or just walking around the village of Otaki, you know. It's pretty awesome, and just catching up with all our whanaunga here, and yeah. So, hey. Yeah, kia ora.
Now, thank you for that, Jerome. We've got our final question. And our final question is, and we'll stick with you, Jerome, is what advice would you give to young and up-and-coming musicians? I mean, there's all sorts of types of things in music, all sorts of types of themes, from love to politics to whatever in music and to meditation. What kind of advice would you give, I suppose, to young and up-and-coming musicians who want to follow your path? Jerome.
Yeah. Oh, just kia kaha. Are you sure? Nah.
Are you done all right, bro?
Yeah, I think you know, like, I suppose just really put your head down and you know, aim for something, you know, and really go for it, because as it's been mentioned, you know, Sister Ria brought it up, you know, you can't sort of muck around. You gotta, like you said, put your hands, and you'll get your feet in there and everything, your puku and everything. Yeah, you know, it's not just about putting your back into it, it's like everything. And I think, I think the resilience is a key kind of thing that you need to have, obviously, where, you know, in challenging times like this, which none of us expected. And and really just the back, you know, particularly for our rangatahi Māori, and, you know, not exclusively, but just to back yourself as far as where you come from, and, you know, your whakapapa and your toto and your tūpuna, really to look back and see what they've done and achieved. And, you know, even amongst this COVID thing, like, gee, our tūpuna went through how many hundreds of different diseases and things that were killing us off. But, you know, just to haere tonu and to be, I don't know, be up and eyes wide open, you know, and really look around. And, you know, I feel like our people have so much potential to do whatever they want to do, really. And it's just about pulling, you know, going deep inside and pulling up the best of yourself, even in those most challenging times. And just to not forget who we come from. And that's sort of some of the things that get me through and have helped me. And, you know, of course, connecting with our whanaunga and being inspired by other whānau, like in here, our different artists and cultural practitioners out there. And just, I love our people so much. We've got so much to offer, and just like, you know, being invited into this group and the Mahi with Sounds, and just appreciate having our whakapapa and our connections to each other, because I've seen during this time how much mahi our people have been pumping out, and it's like quite phenomenal. Like, wow, you know, it's and it's so innovative, and those are classic traits of our tūpuna, so, and which is in us as well. So yeah.
Oh, kia ora, Jerome. Vanessa, what kind of advice would you give to someone who's young and up and coming and want to get into the same area that you're in?
Second area. I'm lucky because I teach a lot and work with rangatahi and with all the. I think I taitoku everything that's already been said. Perseverance. Also, having thick skin, and it's really hard because all the mahi that we do ultimately is incredibly personal, because that's what makes it matter. And also not to be scared to make it matter, not to be, that's why I love all of these artists' work. You know, Rhea's honest, you know, and the songs that I've written, or the films that I've made, or documentaries that I've made that often resonate the most for me or for other people, are the ones where I've been most honest. The ones that are maybe will we learn, or what you things that are a little bit harder to sing, because they matter to me. And I think if it doesn't matter to you, it's not going to matter to anyone. You know, to not be scared to let it matter. And I think particularly at the moment when we have a voice, I think that also, and let's be honest, it brings back to, we all whanaunga, like it takes 5 minutes for me to be at Lisa's marae without finding how we whakapapa back to each other, and then Kirsten and I are cousins. You know, it's like we're all whanaunga, and not just in this rupa, but all over the world. But we have a unique Indigenous voice. We have a unique set of taonga that has been handed down to us, and that's what the world is interested in. Don't be scared to show all your awesome, and
shine your light.
Yeah, shine your light, exactly. And I think it's too, one of the best master teachers I've ever had told me some wisdom that has always resonated with me. And there's only 2 things that stop us from reaching our fullest potential, and that is fear and apathy. And ultimately, they're the same thing, because fear becomes apathy, yeah? And what are we scared of? You know, ultimately, also, people are going to like it, people aren't. You know, that's what it is. It is what it is, you know? But, yeah, I think just make it about the mahi, make it about the work, and because all the other superficial stuff, and I think I meet a lot of, if I'm working with young actors too, and they're like, oh, you know, I want to be famous, and I'm like, that's a really uncomfortable byproduct of doing something you love well, and it is, you know. I'm awkward that's why we have green rooms. We're all awkward. All artists are shy, you know what I mean? I'm very awkward, I'm very shy, and I meet a lot of beautiful young artists who, and same with these beautiful women that I'm working with on the inside. At the end of the day, the only difference there, most of that is circumstantial and opportunity. And the difference between success, I think, is opportunity and persistence. So and we are in charge of making our own opportunities. I'm so excited and was so delighted when I heard you announce it, Rhea. I'm so excited to see what you're going to do at that festival. That's amazing. And now I think we're in an amazing situation where Māori artists are getting platform where they can not only have their voice heard, but give the opportunity to young up-and-coming artists and that's exciting for me. And that's the mahi that excites me. Have spent years promoting, and people that, you know, promoting other artists, being publicists. That's the mahi that really excites me. And it's the same with, I think, with working with any up-and-coming artist. It's to get them to not fear working with other people as well, and being collaborative. That's where all the excitement happens, working with other musicians. That's the buzz for me, that I can stand on stage and turn to one of my sisters and go, yeah, you know, a moment means nothing if it's not shared. The same with a song doesn't exist if no one hears it. So don't be scared. You know what I mean? Like, it's like that whole tree falling in the woods thing. If no one's here, it's a conversation. Art's a conversation. And sure so more than happy have a point of view, but don't be scared to share it.
Ka pai, kia ora, Vanessa. Kirsten.
Oh.
How would...
Sorry.
You were getting right into that, eh?
Yeah, I was listening. I was fully engaged.
See, very good, Vanessa. Kirsten, what would you say to some young and up-and-coming young female or male singer just starting out and getting into the business?
Well, I can only reflect on my own experience, and I used to be like super nervous to be on stage in front of people, you know, and I knew I had a voice, but it was really hard to get it out because I used to suffer from really bad like stage fright, and even just hearing the sound of my voice out loud, like I knew I could project it, but just hearing it was like, oh my God, it's so big. Like, you know, it was sometimes too much. So for me, it was, I managed to make the nerves go away when I really learnt my craft. And that for me, that was having a really good foundation, knowing how to draw on my natural talents, and then having the confidence, you know, that would give me the confidence to be able to perform better. So for me, I'd really say know your craft. Another good thing I think is to network and get to know the people in the same, like try and surround yourself with people that you want to be like. I reckon that's always really helpful. And then you've got a group of people that you can talk to and ask questions. And, you know, most artists I know are all really willing and open to share any pieces of information. Like, the other thing I think that's helped me is to be able to be flexible. So I've worked in quite a few different genres, I guess. I've done musical theatre. I've worked as a backing vocal. And one thing often leads to another, like especially in New Zealand, because our industry is small, it's quite good if you just want to work in the music industry. Like you could totally have another job and just do your own music. And if that's what you want to do, that's cool. But for me, I just want to solely work in the art, and you know, as an artist. So I do like being able to have those other things. So for me, I would say versatility, if that's what you want to do, and just solely work in the arts, then yeah, be flexible, learn how to do other things. Yeah.
Well, kia ora, Kirsten. Awesome. And to you, Ria, we'll go to you. How would you encourage young and up-and-coming artists?
Oh, this is such an open-ended question, eh? It's like, and it changes all the time, but the response will always change. So I think in my fields at the moment, given the circumstances that we face in this time, or that we've come through or we are working through, I'd say it's really apparent when one is authentic in their approach. And when I mean authentic, I mean like you're not afraid to be vulnerable, you're not afraid to be ugly in front of people, or show like, you know, the stuff that, like what Vanessa was saying, that really, really matters to you. What Jerome was saying, when you're pulling, you know, your best out of you, don't be afraid to also show your worst. I found that over the years, particularly in my 20s, I was always trying to people please. I was always trying to think of what people wanted to hear, rather than actually, this is who I am, and this is what I'm about, and this is what I want to say. This is my offering to you as the community, as the listener, and therefore to the world. I mean, I've always kind of tried to position myself in quite a political, not even political, it's just the you know, social commentary, just commenting on happenings that affect us, particularly as Māori people, as Indigenous people. So that's kind of the forum that I've always operated from. But I think now that I'm in my 30s and getting into the higher level of that age bracket, I'm saying that in a very nice way, but I think that it's ever so important to always plug for authenticity and just your true self, being true to who you are, being true to your values, to the values of your whānau hapu iwi, to the values held by your tupuna. I really liked what Jerome was drawing on earlier in terms of, you know, our tupuna have given us so many pathways to look through. And when the word resilience was brought up, I immediately thought of a whakatauki from here, which we use tauranga moana wide, which pertains to our rock next to Maua Maunga called Tirikawa, and the whakatauki is, actually it's a whakatauaki, and it's ahakoa uhi te ngaru ka whakaia no te toka Tirikawa. So irrespective of the waves that continue to crash upon Tirikawa rock, Tirikawa always remains, and remains resilient and resolute. And so I always try to draw on those kinds of frames of thought, you know, in times of despair, in times of struggle. So perhaps drawing on your own kōrero, on your own teachings, the teachings of your own tutors, your teachers, your mātua, aunties, uncles, whether you know it or not, you've got a huge catalogue of things to draw from. So really, I don't know, make time to draw from those resources that are at your disposal, that are actually your birthright. You know, draw from those resources, and yeah, just be staunch and true to you.
Yeah, kia ora.
Koina.
Kia ora mo tēnā. Yeah, tika tāhau. Some people find it a little bit scary to be themselves when they're young, but yeah, I totally tautoko that what you're saying. Toni, how would you what kind of advice would you give to some of these young and up-and-coming artists?
Well, I just think what everyone said tonight has been so awesome, and I agree, and I would have said a lot of it, and it was great to just hear it, because, you know, I'm a big believer that you're an extension of your tipuna, you're an extension of your upbringing, of your whānau, but also you decide your own pathways moving forward. And in terms of music, Māori music, NZ music industry, it's really good to have tautoko. I know that some of our younger artists have the battlers of their fathers or their mothers or their even their partners sort of battling for them in the managerial or the agent sphere, and you really have to, in that light, trust who's working with you, because even with your publicity, it's like a marriage, and those relationships moving forward when you're navigating your career paths, it's really important to have people that get what you're about, get what your kaupapa is, get what your purpose is. But as you know, when you're a young person and you're still finding out what that is, exactly what everyone said, it's about, you know, look at the resources that are around you, talk to the ones, you know, people, your kaiako, your aunties, your that's right, your pakake, your kaumātua. Talk to them and draw from them, and even if it's just a character in their personality, like for me, we go back to, speaking of whakatauki, and I always hold on to the one from the whānau, erere e te huata, hopu kia, erere e te manuka, tomo kia. When you see the huata spear flying, grasp it, and when you have the manuka, enter it. And it's about capturing the opportunities when you see them happen and then making them happen. It's that whole walk the talk. When one door opens, another one, you know, closes, another one opens. It's all that kōrero, and it's also about sitting in the space of abundance. That there's plenty for everybody. You know, Macy says that a lot, and I believe in that fully as well. And celebrate one another. Always celebrate each other. Celebrate each other's successes, and that's the space that I've always, you know, and the servitude, big thing for me, big thing for all of us. You know, we're all involved in all our various communities, our whānau hapu iwi, and all the things that means. And for me, the key thing is about that whakawhanaungatanga, connecting and serving, finding out a way to serve our people, serve our composers, serve our kaitito, our kaipuoro, our manutiori serve. And for me, in my place of life, that's the place that I've come to. Long have I let go the whole thing of wanting to be famous? I don't think I even really had it anyway. I just sort of was just navigating and learning. Having awesome mahi with different groups and different people, theatre and what have you over the years, and really developing great friendships. And then great friendships become your networks. And then developing strong work ethic. So maybe some things that haven't, well, been shared but may have been shared is, you know, get the admin developed, learn how to do the funding proposals, so that just develop that side of yourself so that you can become quite, knowledge is power, so that you become quite, you know, self-resilient and keep the faith, always keep the faith. So that's outside of what everyone else has said, because I totally agree with what everyone said.
Yeah. Koe no mihi ana ki a koutou, mihi kawana ki a koutou I whakawate I a koutou I tēnei pō ki te kōrero mai I runga I te tono o tō tātou hoa hūhana. Hoi anō hei, ko te tūmanako, nā ko heke tātou ki te taumata tuatahi, ko te tūmanako, ko hoki rawa mai ngā mahi ki a tātou katoa. Ne? Nā reira, mihi ana ki a koutou katoa, kia ora, tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou katoa.